Fiction tells of a lot of tragedies. Some come from malice, while others happen in an attempt to cover things up. Today, the cause of one tragedy will have to go through another. Springtrap, or William Afton, the man who caused the missing children incident, will go through something that only few could survive. Today we learn if Springtrap could survive the Raccoon City incident. For those who don't know, the Raccoon City incident comes from Resident Evil, specifically 2 and 3. It's how they referred to what is essentially a zombie outbreak accidentally caused when rats become contaminated by what I believe is the T-virus. In a matter of days, what is basically the entire city becomes overrun by the virus. There's also some freaks that get let loose, like the T-103s and the Nemesis, specifically the T-type. For this video though, I'm going to focus on the remake storyline, which means Nemesis won't attack Springtrap as he's only tasked with killing STARS members. But Springtrap might have to deal with Mr. X, which is a T-103. The disaster only ended on October 1st when a bomb was dropped, leveling the city in an attempt to control the infection. Springtrap actually has some impressive things to go over. First, we need to talk about his speed. If he's slower than Grandpa, then he isn't exactly escaping anything. There's a handful of arguments online stating that Springtrap is fairly slow. However, I disagree with those statements, as the human William Afton was capable of speed blitzing Foxy and dismantling him before he could escape. In my Friday in the NBA video, I mentioned Foxy runs at about 27.27 miles per hour, which likely makes William faster than that because he was able to catch Foxy off guard and stop him from running away. And I don't think the suit on its own would slow him down to a snail's pace. Secondly, we gotta know how easy it is to tear into them. I mean, it's zombies, that's what they do. And it turns out that it's not so easy considering he survived a building going up in flames and falling on him. Finally, we need some sort of strength check, and due to the spring lock suit, I think it's safe to put him at whatever Fredbear has put out, which is street level. He gets that because he can crush a kid's skull. Listen, it's a lot of complex math, I'm not gonna bore you with that. Point is, if one spring lock suit can do it, it's safe to assume the spring Bonnie suit, which is Springtrap, could do it as well. In this scenario, we'll assume Springtrap has yet to be taken out of the FNAF 1 location, which is in Raccoon City. Amidst the chaos, people take refuge in the building, and unknowingly grant Springtrap the ability to escape after finding him in the boarded up safe room. After a couple days, Springtrap escapes in the dead of night, likely taking any weapons he can from the people who took shelter, as he would be smart enough to realize something is going on outside, just doesn't know what. It is late into September 28th by the time he steps outside, and all there is for miles is a sea of death and destruction. Armed with only an axe, Springtrap is now tasked with escaping Raccoon City. In this scenario, Springtrap would be mostly used to the layout of Raccoon City, as he would have had to taken out the animatronics in 93, or at least that's what I'm assuming, and the Raccoon City incident takes place in 98, which is not a lot of time for a city to change. Springtrap would likely travel around until finding the massive amounts of zombies, before finding somewhere to arm himself. I think it's safe to assume he might go to Gun Shop Kendo in search of guns, as fighting hordes of zombies with only an axe is a good way to end up as an extra on The Walking Dead. And to be fair, Springtrap wouldn't want to die so soon after getting the second chance at life. Upon arrival to the gun shop, it would actually be mostly empty. The owner gave away a lot of guns to people in need when the outbreak first started. Springtrap, however, is lucky in that for a massive robot, he's pretty damn quiet. I mean, if you really think about it, he makes next to no noise when running past the window in FNAF 3, if any at all. I do know he makes noise in the vents, but later in UCN, he makes zero noise in the vent system, even when he shows up right in front of you. Because of this, I think Springtrap might be able to take Kendo, the owner, by surprise with distractions in order to take his shotgun off of him in the event there are no other guns. After killing in cold blood, I think it would be easy for Springtrap to engineer a holster for the shotgun if necessary. And ammo is literally everywhere in this game. I don't know, you could find it anywhere. You step onto the streets, probably on fire hydrants. Doesn't matter, bro. Also, you can make ammo with like gunpowder plus gunpowder make bullet. I'm sure he's probably smart enough to figure it out. Dude makes super scientific robots that are meant to hide kids in them. This game's bullshit logic is nowhere near as much as Five Nights at Freddy's. On top of ammo being everywhere, he also would loot Kendo for everything he had, and then probably get into his safe room, also killing his daughter, but besides the point, he'd take whatever was in the safe room. From here, Springtrap might do one of two things. He'd either head towards the RPD where he could find more weapons or ammo, or he would find a way to leave right now. Here, I think the RPD makes sense for him. It would seem like a potential stronghold he could take over in his mind, or at least a better place than the middle of the street where there's countless zombies. He would probably arrive after Carlos and Tyrell in Resident Evil 3, but that leaves few people to actually stop him from taking whatever he can and just leaving the building. But unfortunately, as Springtrap is leaving, he would come face to face with his biggest threat yet, Mr. X. Mr. X is tasked with killing survivors he comes across, and is pretty casually wall level. He destroys walls pretty easily. He punches through a wall and crushes a guy's skull. It's really gnarly. Anyways, I don't think a standard punch from him is actually wall level because, if I'm Leon or Claire and I get punched in the skull by Mr. X, I'm done. I am done. The only reason they aren't is because they're the player character and they want you to be able to play the game and have fun. They would get obliterated by Mr. X and my ass is not surviving a punch to the head. But I will admit, at his strongest, he is wall level in strength and durability as well for surviving a car crash into an explosion. Bo really gets hit by the 1-2 combo and just walks it off like it's an average Tuesday. In this fight, Springtrap's actually slightly outclassed. We said Springtrap is street level and wall level is above that, but not by much. He could tussle for ages, however, though, due to not needing any sort of stamina or energy because he's a robot now, and he'd likely have a high pain tolerance after the spring lock failure if he still even feels pain. But he would have to rely on wits and weaponry in order to best the tyrant. Thankfully for Springtrap, Mr. X can at least be damaged by slashing weapons and obviously guns. Ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if any character wins, but I think due to having a speed advantage as well as likely being able to react to any attack thrown at him, Springtrap wins 7 out of 10 times with the weapons he has. Mr. X in the game goes down to 2 to 3 shotgun shots to the head, and from there I think Springtrap could pretty easily capitalize and finish the job. After taking down Mr. X, Springtrap has to make it out of the city. In trying to make his way through, I could see him stumbling upon the sewers like in Leon's story. I'm not sure if the water in the sewer would affect him anymore, considering the spring locks have already activated. I don't think they just activate again, and I think he would be crafty enough to bypass the fans if the path Annette takes wasn't open. I also believe he could get through any standard doors. He could probably just bust them down. I mean, he's really heavy. Doors are the least of his worries as well. If Springtrap ran into Annette, I think he would likely just kill her outright and take her wristband after deducing what it was for. But if he had to go through the furnace for a wristband like Ada does, then things might get a little tricky. However, Springtrap has a secret weapon at his disposal I have yet to speak of, and that's Remnant. Ooh. Remnant is some crazy thing. I think it's discussed in the books, so I don't know. Matt Pat's talked about it probably just as much as he's talked about their toes. Point is, with Remnant, Springtrap has technology manipulation, because he can create the phantoms, and the phantoms can destroy your audio, and they malfunction your cameras and your vent stuff, so he can manipulate technology. On top of that, he can create illusions so real that some kid could smell and feel the fake environment. Imagine you're hanging out and all of a sudden you're touching grass and it smells like dandelions. And then, get this, that same kid in the illusion eventually ends up burning himself alive in an oven because he did not realize he was in an illusion. So he could easily use remnant powers, to trick Annette if caught off guard. However, Remnant is weakened by fire, and Springtrap would be in a literal furnace. But Ada appears to receive no birds or anything, and so I think Springtrap could open the door before it gets too hot for him to use his Remnant powers. Not to mention he survived a burning building. After making it into the lab, I think Springtrap would just use his Remnant powers to bypass the need of the bracelet to get to the railway system seen at the end of Leon/Claire's story. So, in this hypothetical story, which means you can't get mad at with me, you're not allowed to be upset. It's hypothetical, it's not real, so please stop typing mean things in the comments. Springtrap could survive the Raccoon City incident. In order to do it, he would have to kill Kendo, and he might kill Annette if he finds her, as well as anyone in the RPD. And with him taking the railway system, he leaves Claire, Sherry, and Leon for dead. But I mean, who cares about all those guys when the focus of today's story was Springtrap?